please expect to hear vehicles this entire podcast. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the I Don't Know podcast. This is your host, Veronica Towers, and I'm back with the Amigos podcast today. I know I haven't had one of these in a minute, but I still love to have these personal, deep conversations with people about hardships in life and not always hardships. I shouldn't say that because sometimes it's good things, but most of the time it's pretty bad. Today, I'm going to be talking. Oh my God, the little filter's still on. Cute. I'm going to leave it for a minute. So today's guest is a reoccurring character. She has been here before and she will be here again. The last time she was here was season 1. And it was a pretty intense conversation. This one's going to be still a little bit serious, but not as yikes as the previous conversation. I finally caved and took off the little filter, even though it was cute AF. And Lily's here now, so let's go ahead and get her on the meeting. Hi, sister.
Hi.
It's Charles TM. How are you?
Good. Just chilling.
Yeah. So just to make
Yeah.
sure there's nothing wrong with you today, right?
Yeah. It just feels weird. Like I feel like anytime the camera is on me, then I automatically don't know how to act.
Yeah. It's going to make you act up. No, it's just us on if we're on FaceTime, like we are every single day for
Yeah.
hours at a time.
Literally.
And we're just going to talk a little bit about your life or like a part in your life that I feel is a topic that could be very influential to people who are listening.
Yeah.
Because it was quite a time. And I want to talk a little bit also about the last time you were here. It was season 1.
Yeah. Way back when.
It was quite the episode.
Yeah, that one was a little bit more deep than today's episode, for sure.
Yeah, so it's still like a serious matter and still something that should be,
Mhm.
taken seriously, but it's not to that extreme, I would say.
Yeah, no. But still pretty important, just not
Yeah.
that, we're not gonna be crying our eyes off today, is the
Yeah,
the
on the
difference is.
couch, we were literally just
Uh-huh.
sitting on the couch crying. But it was a great episode. That one got great
Yeah, it
feedback, and
was.
thank you so much again for doing that one because it was very personal, but it meant a lot. If you guys are wondering what episode we're referring to, it's going to be season 1, episode 4, Surviving Sexual Abuse. And yes, the title states it's about surviving sexual abuse, and it's pretty intense topic. We get very personal, very vulnerable, but it's still one of my all-time favorites for those reasons. So if you're interested, go ahead and check it out.
Yeah.
Okay. So since season 1, I don't know when that was, like maybe even a year or so ago, or more than that. What have
I
you been
think
up
over
to?
a year now.
Yeah, what you been up
Since then, I finished school. I graduated from university.
to? Mm-hmm.
I have entered the job market now, so it's time
Big
for a
girl
big growth
thing.
job.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I've gotten hired, quit. It was a whole spiel.
Uh-huh.
Just trying to live my life. Still going through a pandemic, so there's not much we can do about that. Everything's kind of like slow pace. Graduating, pandemic, job market, hobbies. That's it.
Yeah. Mental health awareness.
Oh my God. I know I'm not
You've
the
been
only
taking
one
care of
who's,
your shit lately though. You've been getting your
yeah,
mental health right and tight.
yeah, I have. Only because in the past, I've really let my mental health affect every part of my life. And so I know I'm not the only one whose mental health has plummeted during this
Yeah.
season or these weird times, but I'm just trying to get a little bit more a hold of my feelings
Yeah,
so
but
it's not taking control.
I think to your credit though, I know you're saying like a lot of people obviously are going through the pandemic and stuff, but through the pandemic, you went through like finishing university and doing that whole life transition. So that was just a whole other thing to add to your stress.
Yeah, a complete shock. That's what it was. And when you've been in school for so long, it's like a part of you. Like, well, what do you do? Oh, I'm a student.
Yeah.
Okay, then like that's acceptable. You're either a student or you're working doing something else. So it's its own little like bubble. And
Yeah.
then when you're not a student anymore, it's like, okay, so now what? Now I have to find a job. And then that defines you.
Yeah. Yikes. I don't like when you put it like that.
Mhm.
America.
Yeah.
Um, but okay, speaking of, this is a great transition into what the conversation is going to be about today. We're going to talk about how you are a first generation Mexican slash Peruvian American
Mhm.
gal, only child,
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
who, and you had basically no like college guidance, and you are a college graduate, Missy. You did the thing, and I want to talk to
Mhm.
you about how you did it. Personally, for me, because I need some tips and tricks, but also for people who
Yeah.
are like going through it.
Yeah. I am an only child to an extent. I have like half siblings, but really I grew up by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that university was something that I wanted to do. It was also really like engraved in my head since, I was a
By
kid.
a
So it was
parent
like,
or like,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. My mom was always like, you need to go to school. Um, getting out of high school, you need to you go automatically to either college or university. It's going to be a leg up in this world and this and that. So there wasn't really another choice. That's
Mm-hmm.
just kind of the path that was decided for me, I guess, if you can put it that way. And I kind of wanted it for myself too. So after high school, I actually didn't get into my first choice university. I didn't pass one math class, which was algebra 2. You had to pass the algebra 2 class to
We're gonna say right here,
move
right
on.
now, fuck algebra 2.
Fuck algebra 2. Yeah, that's what didn't get me into university straight out of high school, but which is okay because I went to community college, and that was a pretty big chunk of my life, like a really important chunk of my life, and
Yeah.
I loved it. I love community college. If I could recommend community college to everyone, I would. Like it's such a great resource and tool. I don't think it gets a lot of recognition. Like people
Yeah.
just talk about
So, but
universities.
initially the goal was straight to university from high school, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Okay.
was.
Well, see, that's
But
why, like, when things take a turn, it's not always for the worse. Like, just
yeah, it's
fucking go with
not.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
just super dramatic, and it was like the end of the world for me at that time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm
But
sure like everyone in high school is like the A through G requirements and da 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 da. So you could go to university.
uh-huh.
Like, and if you go to
And what school are
community,
you going to? And where did you apply? And what other university
and
did
if
you
you say
apply to?
LBCC, they're like, you're fucking dumb. Or like a city college,
Yeah.
you're dumb. Or like, you
Oh,
didn't get.
you're gonna see everybody all over
Uh-huh.
again.
Okay, and I'm gonna be getting my education
Yeah.
anyway.
Mhm.
But yeah, okay, so you didn't go to LBCC though. You
No.
trade Long Beach for City College.
I did because I was also one of those people thinking, I don't want to see these people again. Like
Yeah.
I'm done with high school. I was just hoping if like I couldn't wait to finish high school. And then when it was finally over, I was like, I'm not gonna go to LBCC because I'm gonna see all these people all over again. And the community college that I did go to was like a 6, 7 minute drive from my house. So yeah, I went to community college and I didn't have any help because I was an only child.
Mhm.
And at that time I do have a cousin who was at that time going to Cal State Fullerton. She's 1 year
Okay.
younger than me. And so she also got herself into, university straight out of high school. So I had her to kind of lean on, but for the most part, it was really just me and counselors one on one, probably bothering them way too many times because I didn't want to do the wrong thing. Like I knew I
Yeah, of
wanted to go
course.
to university.
But when you say counselors, you're talking about high school counselors? This was when you were still in high school?
No,
Or you're talking
no. High school
oh,
counselors do not do shit.
okay, yeah, that was gonna be my
And you
question.
could put that on record, sis.
Yeah, no, I
No,
agree
high
with
school
you. Okay,
counselors don't do anything.
I mean, we could talk a little bit about your transition from community college to university in a second, but I do want to talk about going from high school to community college. How did
Yeah.
that process go for you? Because we're saying here right now, counselors didn't help you. And
No.
like it's a whole you have to apply, you have to submit paperwork and like all this stuff. How did you do that
Yeah.
by yourself?
Now thinking about it, I'm like, how the fuck did I do it? But
Like block that part out of your
like
life?
we're literally 17 years old trying to figure out this life-changing
Exactly.
time in our lives.
Mhm.
But I had my cousin who at that time was her first semester ever at Cal State Fullerton. So I had her to kind of ask questions about FA,
Mhm.
picking classes.
FA's financial aid for people who are not school literate.
Yeah. Um, admissions, like
Mhm.
what do I need to do? And then I had another cousin who at that time was also going to Cal State San Bernardino. And so I had him to kind of ask questions about too. But
And do you remember, I mean,
um
obviously, I don't want you to give details, but do you remember what kinds of questions you had that you had to ask them about?
oh yeah, it was like financial aid packages because they ask you like 300 questions
Yeah.
every year, same thing. It's like because you feel they ask you tax questions and like how much your parents make, how much do you
Like,
make, do
I
you work,
don't know.
do your parents have a mortgage? Like I don't fucking know. Like and you have to be super intricate about those answers too because that really determines how much the government is going to give you essentially,
Yeah.
and
And not trying to
that's
get
pretty
locked up.
important. Yeah, and you don't want to, commit tax fraud at the same time. That was so scary. Every time during the FA process, I was like 2 hours of just like rereading stuff.
Yeah,
But I don't know if you remember, but we had a career center at our high school that
we did. Yeah. I think I went in there once in my entire high school career.
yeah, I think I went there like twice to ask
Was it
questions.
useful? Did you use it for anything?
Yes. Do you remember the career center? And then on the left-hand side, it was like another door and it had like a bunch of like tables and it was like a college. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was a
Um,
door right to the left of the career center.
I don't know.
They would help you.
I feel like
They
we
would
went
help
up there
seniors.
for like club activities or like when we had to meet club leaders. I think I went to that room, but that was probably the only time I ever did in my entire life as well. So, was
Well,
that
that
where you were
room,
doing all your stuff?
yeah, yeah, because that room was apart from the career center, they would help you with applying for universities, applying for colleges, scholarships, financial aid questions, like literally anything you can think of that you might need to transfer out
Mhm.
is what they were there for. So I spent a lot of time there as well.
Yeah. So you
And
milked your resources from school. Good for you,
oh yeah,
sister.
yeah. Because I was an only child and
Yeah,
my mom couldn't help me in the way that she wanted to.
of
So
course.
I had to figure it out myself. Yeah.
But high school counselors, nothing. Did nothing for
No,
you.
nothing. Literally nothing. I feel like if anything, they would probably, and this is a conspiracy theory, but I feel like they would look at you, and if you were not white, then they would take you or put you in classes that were like remedial or like writing comprehension instead of like pushing you to take AP or honor classes.
Yeah. I experienced that firsthand, so it's not a conspiracy. It's true.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
even though like I had the grades and I had the GPA to be in these classes, like he would ask me like, "Do you want me to switch you to a lower class?" or like, "Are you sure you can
Mhm.
handle this?" And
Yeah,
like,
like they would scare you off almost.
yeah. When you were applying for city college, did you do just put all your eggs in one basket or did you apply to several? What was your plan there?
No, I just applied to the city college that I went to, LA Harbor College.
Shout out.
And yeah, they don't really city colleges don't really deny you. They just take whoever applies.
I'll take
If
whatever
you
comes.
apply, you're in.
Yeah.
That's it. So, yeah, it was just that one, and that's where I stayed for 3 years.
All right, so you did the application process, you got accepted into City College. What was that
Mhm.
first week like, or the first month at school? Who helped you set up your schedule? How did you navigate that system? Because it's completely different from high school. It's a whole other world. So, how
Yeah,
did
it
you do
is.
that?
So when you're in community college, I think it hit me, like, the first 2 weeks that I was really on my own, like, there was nobody holding your hand anymore. If you wanted to
Mhm.
leave campus, you could leave campus. It wasn't like high
Yeah,
school where you
you
had to get
have
a
to go to class.
slip.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was just, like, so much freedom, and I didn't know what to do with it. So, I just remember thinking, "Well, if in high school these college counselors helped me, then the counselors here have to help me too." So,
Yeah.
honestly, for all of my community college career, I spent so much time in the counselor's room or desk because that was the only way I felt like I was gonna be navigated the right way. And if I
Yeah.
had left it just to myself, then I don't I don't know, I don't think that I would've gotten where I am now because I would have been just so lost. I wouldn't know where to turn. So,
Yeah, and I mean, that's literally their jobs to help
yeah,
you, to guide you, guidance
it is.
counselors.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can totally see where you're coming from, that need of like almost reassurance that like I'm doing this correctly. I'm doing college
Mhm.
right. And you
Yeah.
need someone who's there already to tell you, yeah, good, yeah, no. Because that's kind of how we've been conditioned. Good, bad, good, bad. So like
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
happening? Yeah.
yeah. It was just like, I you'll soon know because I know you're going back to school yourself,
Uh-huh.
but when you're in community college, all your classmates are from different ages, like straight out of high school to 30-year-olds, sometimes 40, 50-year-olds, and it's like you talk to them and you're just talking about school and whatnot, and they tell you their classes that they're taking, and it's like art and theater and this and this and that, and it's like fun classes. And
Yeah.
then there are the people who are actually trying to transfer out to university, and the classes they're going to take is not so fun.
Mm,
Like their classes like math and health, history, and like all your STEM classes.
yeah.
And so I knew I had to do that to be able to transfer to university. So that's why I was going to counselors all the time to make sure that the classes I were taking were not for nothing and that they were transferable.
Yeah. Okay. So the counselors helped you like set up an educational plan to get you out of there. And the goal was always to transfer to university, right?
The goal was always to transfer out. So,
Okay.
yeah, they helped me choose the classes that would help me get there, basically.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, I think that's the move. Like you mentioned, at 24, am finally going back to school. I've already attempted a
Mhm.
few times and I fucking hated it. But now I'm going
Yeah,
for something
I do too.
something I actually am interested in. So I feel like that'll motivate me to stay in there. And I've already
Mhm.
met with the counselor. School just started yesterday. I've met with the counselor like
Yeah.
5 times because I'm just
Yeah.
like, help me. Like, obviously, everything I did in the past didn't work out. So help me,
Mhm.
tell me what I have to do to get to where I want to go.
I had to take all my general classes at community college that were transferable. And when it came to choosing classes, remember vividly going to the counselor's office and making them choose my classes for me because I am the type of person, and I hate to admit it sometimes, but sometimes I do need someone to hold my hand and literally guide me and show me how to do something exactly.
Yeah.
So that I would know for sure that I wasn't just taking classes just to take
Yeah.
them. So
But again,
I
like I
had
said,
some
that's
say,
literally their job.
yeah,
So, you were just
I had
using the
some say
resources.
like you could take this class, this class, this class. They're all transferable. And then I would see which one was the most boring class, and I wouldn't choose that class. I would
Okay.
choose the one that I'd kind of like.
Yeah. Good. That's good because you got to where you wanted to go. It helped you move it along.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I've heard of stories. I will bleep this out, but my sister, she
Hmm.
was at City College for fucking ever because she was just taking classes that like weren't helping her get anywhere, university
Yeah.
wise. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, she was getting the credits there at City College, and she was getting the that added to her cumulative GPA, but it had nothing to do
Yeah.
with the classes that you needed to transfer. So she was
Hmm.
there forever. Um,
Yeah.
so it's good that you did that. That way you knew where you were going. How was the transition from City College to university? Was it kind of the same or more intense than the transition from high school to City College? What was that like?
So at community college, I got my shit done. I got all my courses completed.
Mhm.
And you know how they say after high school, or your high school teachers would say, this shit's not going to fly when you go to college. You can't
Yeah,
just do
uh-huh.
nothing. You absolutely can do the bare minimum in community college and a little bit even in university. But yeah, community college, you could do the bare minimum and still get through.
Good to know, good to
And
know.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, there's some difficulty in it depending on the classes you take, but courses were pretty manageable in community college. And then it came to the time where I transferred out to Cal State Long Beach and I got there. It was my first fall semester as a freshman. I'm considered a freshman.
Mhm.
And then it was a complete switch from community college to university level work. It
Like,
was
the
just like
workload.
the workload. Yeah, it
Uh-huh.
was just so different. It was so much more. They did require more effort out of you. And it was like you could do the bare minimum at university, but you're not going to get the grades you want. And like it was tough for me
Yeah.
personally because I was doing the bare minimum at community college and then I got to university and it was like fuck, I can't just slide by with
I gotta
my with
actually
these courses.
learn and do shit.
Yeah. And I remember my first semester there at university, I had one of the hardest teachers ever and it was a theory class which already is pretty
Yeah.
boring, sorry for
You
anyone who
warned me not
majors
to
in
take a theory
theory.
class.
Yeah. Um, it was so tough. Like every day was doing something for that class. And it was like I have five other fucking classes
Yeah.
to take care of and this one just took so much out of me. And I feel like that first semester was when it really hit me like, okay, I actually need to try in this, in this different environment.
Mhm.
It's way different.
But quick question. You said that when you went to university, you're considered a freshman. So you do 2 years at City College and then you go to university, you still do the whole 4 years or you do 2 years?
It depends. It depends on
Okay.
your major and it depends if you have a minor. Like if you have a major and a minor, it's gonna
A little
take
bit
you a little
longer.
bit longer to finish because you're taking courses for both major and minor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it depends also if you're passing your classes. If you're not passing your classes, obviously you're
Yeah.
being held back from graduating. But
Like in a perfect scenario, is it 2 years,
yeah,
4 years? How does it work?
after community
After
college,
community college, going to university.
I say 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I did 3 at community college, and that's because I was doing the bare minimum and not passing a few classes that I needed to pass, which
Mm,
led me to do that 3rd year. But
yeah.
had I just done my 2 years of community college, I think I would have done 2 years at university, and then that was it.
Yeah.
I would
And
have
is
been
that what you
done.
ended up doing? 3 years community, 2 years university?
Yeah, that's what I did.
And what was your major, if you don't mind me asking? Or what is your major since you, or your degree?
I majored in sociology, no
Okay.
minor. Mhm.
Okay. And for that kind of career, is it, what kind of classes do you have to pay more attention?
Sociology falls under the liberal arts
Hmm.
department, so it's a lot of more sociology classes, psychology, anthropology,
Fun.
health, a lot of theory classes. I think that's like, yeah, and anything else that falls under the liberal arts department, you could take any of those classes, and I think it's still a, it helps you get the degree,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
Okay. And then we're at university now. Are we still milking the shit out of counselors, or now you're just kind of like, well, I kind of get it now. I'm just gonna ride the waves. What was
No,
the
I'm still milking the shit out of counselors
good for you,
because this
sister?
is a yeah, I really took advantage both at community college and at university because
Mhm.
once at university it was a complete like shock for me. And so I knew I'm an average student. Like I'll say it right now, I'm an average student.
I
C's.
disagree, but okay.
C's get degrees. And so I was getting like B's and C's in my classes, and I was just like, as long as I pass these classes, I'm good. And so I was just going to counselors all the time or advisors because at university they're called advisors now. They're
Okay.
not counselors. Yeah. So I was going to advisors all the time and like, okay, I'm done with the semester. What should I take for my next semester?
And this is more like, again, not a personal question, but more for me, like my curiosity. Did you
Uh-huh.
at either city college or university kind of tie with one specific counselor or advisor, or it was just like whoever can help me? Or did you find someone who was like, this is my person who I'm going to stick with?
In community college, I did. I had
Uh-huh.
one counselor who I stuck with the whole time because
Okay.
he was so helpful and he just really looked and it was obvious that he really cared for his students and like he loved to do what he was doing
Oh,
and it showed.
good.
So he really impacted my life and helped kind of guide me to, show me what I kind of want to do in the future, which was a guidance counselor. That's kind of what I
Uh-huh.
wanted to do. University is a little bit different because there's so much more students. So access to
Mhm.
advisors is a little bit more tricky to get to. So I didn't really have one advisor that I gravitated towards. I think my last 2 semesters at university is when I got one specific counselor who kind of was guiding me, and I liked how he worked and how we worked together. So whenever I would drop in for the drop in hours for advisors, and he was there, then I would ask for him specifically because that's really important too to have like
Yeah.
a real personal connection with your advisors because they're really there to help you and sometimes you do need the help. School's hard. It's not for
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah, so that actually is like a perfect transition into the next kind of set of questions that I wanted to ask you, more of the not so much the academic side of being a first generation student, but like the emotional and the mental strain that it must have took on you. Like you're doing adult shit at 17 years old. So how was your like mentality, or how was it emotionally on you throughout the years? Stop. City college to university.
It was hard.
Yeah.
Again, I would consider myself an average student. So
God, she's
for
smart as
me,
fuck.
no, I'm not.
Okay, then I wouldn't have graduated college. I mean, high school without your ass. You literally did on my
True. Yeah. Um, so we're
Uh-huh.
young adults. We're
Yeah.
going through our young adult stages, like
Mhm.
mentally. So yeah, I did suffer mentally through school. I feel like that was also a time where I got diagnosed with ADHD, depression, and anxiety.
While
So
in
there was
college?
that while in college.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, drama. I thought this
That
was
was
high
my
school.
no, this
Mm.
was my first or second semester of community college when I got diagnosed. School has always been such a challenge for me, and adding the college workload was even more challenging for me. So yeah, I suffered a lot mentally because it was draining. It was
Yeah.
like it was never ending. The workload was never ending, it felt like for me.
Yeah.
So as it is, I already have a negative outlook, I guess. I really don't associate school and like positive things.
Yeah. It's not
Like
your happy
it's
place.
really, yeah, it's not my happy place,
Mhm.
and I hated school. Like I graduated, but I fucking hated school. And like just suffering through like my mental state was also,
Just an
it was
added
hard.
fucking thing to go through.
Yeah.
And obviously,
Mental
if you
health
don't
was depleting.
yeah, obviously, if you don't feel comfy, mentioning when I'll cut it out, but you were diagnosed with ADHD, which
Hmm.
can alter your ability to learn and
Yeah.
like to take in new information because your mind is always like, oh, what's that, or like what's happening over
Hmm.
here. So once you got that diagnosis, did you feel that your education or like your outlook on learning changed at all?
I guess in some way it did become easier because actually there's a story behind that. My first semester in community college, I was taking my first ever intro to sociology, and I remember loving my professor. She was so cool. She was like a young professor, and like it was cool. And then we got to a topic about ADHD. And so she was going through all the symptoms and stuff. And I was like, I
That's deep.
literally have every single symptom that she just, you know,
Yeah.
pointed out on this PowerPoint. And it was just like, what if I have ADHD? And that's why school has been so hard for me. Like,
Mhm.
it felt like whatever it took my classmate to do, it took me 2 or 3 times even more time to complete
Yeah.
it. And that's how it was all my life. So that's when I went to the doctor, and then I went to psychiatrist, and then they were like, "Yeah, you have ADHD. That's why it's been really hard." And I was like, "Well, that explains a lot and
Mhm.
why I suffered through all my education."
Ugh, I'm so sorry
And
that you
then
didn't find out, like, literally K through 12, you just fucking
yeah,
pushed through. But you did it,
that
you
would have
did the
been a
damn
lot
thing.
easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went by myself, and I was like, something ain't right.
To the
So,
psychiatrist?
yeah,
Queen
yeah,
shit.
uh-huh. And so that's when I realized, like, I don't hate school. It just takes me a lot more time to do things, and then that's when I get frustrated,
Yeah,
and that's
which
when
will
the
make you
negative
hate
thoughts
it.
come in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I like learning. I mean, I loved learning new things. That where else was I gonna learn all this shit from, you know?
Yeah.
Reading?
We don't
No.
know her. Did you start, popping some pills, or what's the sitch there? I mean, obviously this is all super personal, not what you signed up for to talk about at all
Uh-huh.
today. So if you don't want
Yeah.
to, it's all good.
No, it's okay. So after I got diagnosed, they did prescribe me some ADHD medication. I won't say the medication specifically, but I did get ADHD medication, and I was kind of hesitant to take it because growing up in a Latino household, medication like that is so frowned upon. So I feel like I tied a negative uh like stigma to
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
and so I
yeah.
was like, no, not taking it. But once I got to when I was almost finishing community college, that's when I was like, maybe this is what I needed. Like, I have ADHD. We know that for sure. And this is probably the little boost that I really needed that other people have, and I just don't.
Yeah.
So I
You
did
know what?
take
I'm
it.
right here, right now, re-inviting you onto the podcast so we could talk about a whole mental health episode. Maybe if you're downsies, you
Yeah.
can come into the one where I'm going to interview the psychiatrist.
Oh my gosh, yes,
So
I
you
would
can
love
ask your
that.
questions too. And yeah, because
Hmm.
I mean, we were talking about mental health right now more like in how it affected your academic life, but obviously mental health affects every single aspect of one's life. So right now
Yeah.
we're just touching a little bit about academically, but yeah, well, I'm giving a teaser here that Lily will be back to talk about mental health with the
Yes. I
psychiatrist.
have
So
so many questions.
yeah,
Nonetheless, I just feel like me and my relationship with school is toxic.
the toxicity of your city.
Uh-huh. It's just, it ain't it for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'll go back. That's like the next step right now in my life where I'm like, well, bachelor's, check. But
Master?
masters, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Okay, well, you mentioned earlier, like I wanted to hop in, but I have a question for later. You said that high school teachers would always, give you that shit of you can't get away with this in college, or like you can't
Hmm.
do this. Da, 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 da. What do you notice between teaching styles from high school teachers versus professors in both college and university?
It's different because now they have this thing called office hours. So if you didn't get it in class, then you have to go out of your way and, meet with your professor
Mm,
in their time and have it explained all over again. And I feel like the teaching styles is better at community college and university because they're a little bit more hands-on, I feel, in
okay.
that they if you need the help, they're there. And if they're not there, then they're just a shitty professor,
Yeah.
point blank, because that's their job. If you're not understanding, then you're some people pay out of pocket to go to these classes and they're not trying to be here longer than they need to. Yeah, so
Yeah.
um
Yeah. Did you find yourself utilizing a lot of those office hours to get that like reteaching or like extra questions in?
my first semesters at university, no, I didn't. And
Fun
that
fact.
was my own bad. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
my own bad. That's something I do regret. Um I like I said, I it took me a long time to grasp the information that was being taught to me. And so I needed that extra help to be retaught or explained a different way,
Yeah.
enough for me to understand it. So my dumbass would go to classes and, zone out or be on my phone. Or if I didn't get it, I didn't get it. And then the class was over and then on to the next one. And then when you're home and you have to do the work by yourself, it's like, well, I didn't learn anything. So
Yeah.
how am I going to fucking do my work?
Yeah.
And so my fault was that I just put, I did my work, but it wasn't good work because I didn't grasp what was being taught to me. And I didn't go out of my way to ask for help because I'm a dumbass. So I just didn't
Because you
go.
were
But
being a dumbass, but we switched the habits, right?
uh-huh,
Yeah.
uh-huh. Yeah. But towards the end of my university career, I did go to office hours a lot
Good.
because
Mhm.
I was not trying to be held back. 2020 was a goal, and if I was getting bad grades, then like there was something that needed to be done, and office hours were it. That's something that I'm trying to get better at too. Like, just ask for help. You don't have to do everything yourself. It's okay to ask for help and lean on somebody sometimes.
And
And
I
professors were students too. Your counselors were
yes.
students too. They know what it's like
Mhm.
to be a student and balance all these other things on the side too.
Yeah. Was there any professors or specific courses that made you realize like, oh, college ain't that bad?
Yes. So, community college again. The community college experience
She
is
sounds
just so,
superior.
yeah, she really is. Um, I had an English professor in community college who I had for 2 semesters, and she was just so amazing. Like, she really cared for her students, and she insisted that we would come to her office hours and like have a one-to-one, just like a personal talk. You
Mhm.
could talk about your academics, but you could also talk about like your personal stuff that's going on, which
Good.
I feel like is pretty important because
Yeah.
everyone's going through shit in their own pace. And like everyone goes through their own like troubles and trials and tribulations. So
Mhm.
she was really iconic. She was like an iconic professor who I had. I
Yeah.
loved her. And when I got to university, um I feel like any professor who I had who was either black or Latino or Asian, I really loved because I didn't grow up with a lot of professors who
White.
were non-white.
Yeah.
So I feel like they really
Like they
I don't
understand
know how to explain
where
it.
you're coming from
Yeah,
more. They're more
especially
relatable.
Yeah, especially in a city like Long Beach where it's super diverse. It
Mm-hmm.
was really an opener for me to have professors who were people of color and who were, who had masters and like doctorate
Yeah.
degrees tied to their name. And it's like, okay, like if they did it, I can fucking do it too.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I feel like they were more detail oriented with their other people of color students.
Totally accurate to the
Yeah,
conversation we're talking about now. The fact that you had those teachers of color, those professors of colors, those guidance counselors, it makes all the fucking difference in the world for a little Latina
yeah, it
girl.
does.
Yeah.
And the learning environment was a little bit more comfortable too,
Yeah.
because you just teachers are kind of scary to talk to already. So
Hmm.
you're kind of they're kind of intimidating. So when you see another person of color who's trying to teach you, it just feels more warm
Yeah.
and more inviting. So
Any advice that you would have for anybody who's a first generation or first time college, they have no one to turn to? What is the move? I know that you used your resources. Apart from that, what should they do to navigate this?
I would say that the internet is your best friend.
Mhm.
It's free 99 for the most part. And
Uh-huh.
so do your research. And, there's scholarships, there's government help, there's Reddits that will
Yeah.
help you and guide you through your, college experience. And
Mhm.
if that's too broad, because I know the internet can be kind of scary sometimes and you don't get the exact answers you're looking for, talk to someone who did go through college and ask them questions. I'm pretty sure they're more than likely to tell you what to do and what not to do and guide you in the right direction. And please abuse the hell out of your counselors, because they're getting paid to do their job. So if you don't know what to do, if you don't know what you want to do with your life, career wise, what classes to take, what school to go to, I promise you, the right counselor will guide you in the right direction. And if they're not, then they're a shitty counselor and go on to the next one.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
great advice. Thank you so much for talking about this. I know that it's been like a minute where we're like, what are we going to talk about on my podcast?
Uh huh.
But this is a great subject. This is something that does need to be highlighted. It's the college
Yeah.
experience is fucking rough.
It is, and it's not easy. The college experience is different for people of color. It really is.
Oh,
And
yeah. That's a
first
given.
generation people of color, really, really hard. So, um, I would say just get out there, use your resources to the best of your ability, and, you know,
And
síguele
síguele
echando ganas.
adelante.
Uh-huh.
Let's
Uh-huh.
see. Let's show her.
Have a long sleeve.
Ah! Lily just
But
got a tattoo that says it.
yeah, I did get Sigue Adelante on my body, because that's something I live by, especially the rough ass year we had last year. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's all you could do. Keep moving forward.
Just keep going. And if
Yeah.
anyone ever needs any college advice, are they free to hit you up on your Instagram, Miss Guidance Counselor?
Yes. Yeah, hit me up. I'll try my best to guide you in the right direction, but I feel like I I asked all the questions I asked, and there was a lot of questions, so I had to probably answer some of your
Yeah.
questions.
Plug
So
that IG so they know where to hit you up.
my Instagram is huevos con weenie, and it's two S's, not one. Um, yeah, hit me up on my Instagram, and I'll be more than happy to help you out.
Wow, look at you being Ellen DeGeneres.
Ooh,
No, just kidding. She got canceled
ooh,
this year.
yeah. Who?
Never mind. Bad example. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for talking to the people. And I'm so proud of you. You're a college graduate. You're a first gen. That's like
Yay.
bonus
Yeah.
on bonus on bonus on bonus. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that the future holds great things for you, sister. And I'm going to be there along
Thanks.
with you to watch it all.
Yeah, you will. Literally will. Holding my hand.
Yeah, I will always be here to hold your hand. Okay. Well, thank you so much. I hope you have a good rest of your day. And I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Ah,
Oh. Oh,
ah,
oh,
ah,
oh,
ah,
oh.
ah.